Okay, well, good morning from headquarters in Baton Rouge. And I see that you're at Allen Correctional Facility, and we'll come into you and talk to you in just a minute, but the time is 9:02 in the morning. It's May the 14th. This is the Committee on Parole that you're talking to. As I said, we're in Baton Rouge. To my left is Ms. Cheryl Renatza. To my right is Pete Freeman. My name is Steve Prater. And would the staff here introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Parole Williams.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. And we're talking to Allen. We're talking to Mr. Rodney Scott. Is that correct, Mr. Scott?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And with the folks at Allen, we appreciate you hosting us today. Would you introduce yourself to ones that are in the room?
Yes, sir. Deputy Warden Brent Thompson.
Okay.
Deputy Bellamy.
Assistant Warden Crystal Simon, ARDC Supervisor Civil Rider.
Assistant Warden Vernon in Washington.
Assistant Warden Clint Bond.
Okay, we got the whole team there. I appreciate that. Appreciate you hosting us. Okay, Mr. Rodney Scott, what's your DOC number? Do you know that?
Yes, sir. 576277.
Okay, and you've applied for this hearing, and you're going to be asking us to parole you today for the charge that you've got. And I really want to hear from you what you've got to say as far as why you feel like that you're eligible and deserving of this parole opportunity. And then we're going to hear from some of your kinfolks that have shown up here at headquarters to talk, and then we'll turn over to the board members and we'll ask questions and we'll make our decision. You got any questions about the process?
No, sir.
Okay, well, the show is yours. Convince us that you're a changed person.
Okay, Mr. Steve. First of all, Mr. Steve, as I did a while back, I want to first not, say that this right here has nothing to do with my upbringing. First of all, I don't want to have my parents to be involved in this in no kind of way of my upbringing. And I just want the courts to know this do have to bring a shame upon the Scott family, because my father and mother, they was both God-fearing man and woman, they're very good in the community, upstanding in the community, and I feel I brought a shame upon my family, even though my wife and my children are there with you also, But one thing I do take ownership of this. And I'm not going to sit here like I told you before. I used the watered down version to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I can't say that. That's watering it down because, only I've done this more than one time. I've done it more than one time, and only it'll take a foolish man to keep repeating something and call it a mistake. Once before I told you all, I'm in my right mind. I'm not a fool. But one thing I know, my actions was foolish though. My actions was foolish. My action caused a lot of people to be hurt. I don't sit here before you just because I have a non-violent crime. I don't sit here and say that I don't have victims. Because once I sit and thought about it, maybe I have more victims than I'm aware of, because the drugs that I was bringing in, it might have, caused someone. I didn't, like I said, I didn't murder anyone. I didn't rape anyone, or I didn't rob or steal from anyone. But the drugs that I was bringing in could have caused some of those people under influence to commit those crimes. That's why I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a victim of this man. And also, I don't know where they're saying that. My family, those are some of my biggest victims right there. That's sitting there with you right now. But it's taking a big course, a great action upon my family. It's really a sense of embarrassment to my church family also. A church member that's very vocal in the church and in front of the church, something like this happened. Something like this happened. It really was a shame. But Mr. Steve, when I got here, I came here once. I remember coming here to Allen. When I got here, I was still a young man. We was walking the yard, and I believe he had about 3 years, 4 years, and he asked me, how much time do you have? We had just got here at this camp. And I remember telling him that I have 35 years. And at the time I was getting ready to turn 46. And the young man, he said, my God, you have a life sentence. You know, and normally if you do the numbers, that would be a life sentence, but I didn't buy into that. I just didn't buy into that. Instead, I decided to get busy. You know, I wasn't gonna let this define who I was, you know. So I got busy. You know, I got off in some programs, and I became a faith-based member. I became a leader. Over the 5.5 years, it took me 5.5 years to get my associate's and my bachelor's degree. I got both of them also, and I was in School of Faith, also a School of Faith, and through those years being in that faith-based program, you know, it started out Miss Teresa Blocker, then Miss Sapp, Miss Aquila Sapp. She's going to be with the Lord now, my spiritual advisor. I was put in front of a lot of different men, a lot of different attitudes, you know. And at first, I just thought that you know that wasn't for me, being an outsider, first of all, because you know, being from Alabama, the first thing I looked at, you know, I don't know anyone. I'm outsider. But one thing, you know, I give God the glory for it. You know, Psalm 68:8 tells us that he will even give the lonely family. You know, and I feel that, you know, I fell in a place where I was embraced. I was embraced with family. You know, and I look at some of these leads that sat here with me, I consider them that. You know, and I had a chance to help as many young men as I could, you know, that I could reach. The ones I could, I arrested them. The ones I couldn't, I kept them in prayer. You know, I see some of the things that some of the young men look at the time that they get, some of the time they get, and also once we had a situation where the young men they was acting out because of the time. But once I had the opportunity to tell them, I got sentenced to 35 years. So it was kind of funny that one of them said, wow, 35 years, how do you act like that? But I asked him, how do I supposed to act? How do I supposed to act with that much time? You know, they have a thing, the younger guys have a thing called flash out. You know, if they have a number of time up on them, they might as well just flash out and act out. But I chose not to. I chose not to do that. You know, you know, it's not just only me, because I had some people that held me accountable also. You know, there were some people that held me accountable, and especially the females here. You know, I had a Miss Sapp in my life. I had a Miss Teresa Blocker in my life. You know, I had a Warden Simon in my life. A Miss Caesar, a Miss Harmon, a Miss Sybil. You know, and those women that I've just called out, those are some women that really held my foot to the fire. You know, once they told me, asked me to do something for this compound, or to mentor or facilitate some program, they really held my foot to the fire. And I thank them for that. I thank them for that. Maybe at the time I might have not, but I look back now, if it wasn't for some of those women, the men was a little bit more lenient on me, but they really held me to the fire to do these things. You know, when I was through that all, I was chosen to be the inmate counselor to the secretary. I was Secretary LeBlanc at the time, and I was really honored. You know, I was really honored that they would choose me to go and maybe every quarter, every 90 days to meet and speak in behalf of this institution here. So I just made my mind up I wasn't gonna be doing it. You know, I've throughout this, I can remember at the beginning of this sentence, I asked Father God for forgiveness. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, I was forgiven. I was forgiven. And those that sit there with you now, my family, my wife, and my children and all, my church family, they've been behind me through all of this. And I know for a fact, you know, even though I asked them, I know they forgave me. They forgave me for this I done that brought shame to our family, you know. I found the strength somehow. On down the line, I found the strength somehow to actually forgive myself. To forgive myself, which was the hardest thing I believe I had to overcome, to forgive myself, you know. And today, as I said before you today, I'm asking the state of Louisiana, which is represented by you all. I'm asking this state to somehow find strength to forgive me for what I done. I knew it was wrong. So I'm asking for forgiveness from the state of Louisiana today. Mr. Steve, I've done that I can do. I've tried to help those that I can help. And I know what I've done was wrong. But you're looking at a broken man now.
I can see that. I can see that, Mr. Scott. Very good interview. And I appreciate that. Is that about all you need to tell us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, this is
Is there a representative there from Allen that would like to speak and tell us what kind of fellow Mr. Scott's been?
Well, yes, sir. We get this opportunity to award Simon. Simon has been here with Scott for many years. And I think she could elaborate a lot more. But I do want to say something, from my experience with him. I consider Scott being a leader of the inmate population in a very positive way. He applies very well with the inmate population, with programs, et cetera, et cetera. He worked very closely with the staff here. And he does a great job with it. But I want to pass it on to your mind, Mr. Steve, to Warden Simon.
Sure. That's great.
Good morning. Yeah, I really can't say anything more than what Mr. Scott has already said about himself. It's very true. He is a leader here at Allen Correctional Center, and I have confidence that he is the definition of rehabilitated. He will go home and he will show his family and the state of Louisiana that he is just that. I think you guys signing off on him today is the best decision he could for the state. I don't think we'll have any issues. The only problem with Mr. Scott is that he's an Alabama fan.
Okay, good one. That's good. That's pretty serious now. Pretty serious. Okay, let's move on then. And we'll move on to your family that's here at headquarters and we'll let them speak. 3 of them are going to speak. But just so you know, I don't know if you can see them on the camera. You'll be able to see the ones that are speaking. But Melissa Lowry and Rodney Dawson are both here, but they will not be speaking. Amari Brundage, Samuel Scott, and Lisa Scott are here, and they will be speaking. So I'll let them decide in what order they'd like to go to. And if you would limit your remarks to just a couple of minutes, if you would. I think we've heard a pretty good bit of good stuff this morning. So don't talk us out of anything we may be thinking.
Hi, I'm Amari, Lenny's daughter. I spoke to you guys a couple months ago, trying not to be emotional. But everything that I said then still stands. I'm just so proud of him because he's changed. When he left, I was very young. So like growing up, like he's never like I said last time, never stopped being a dad. Like anything that I do extracurricular, but then like school and stuff, like always wait for his call just to like congratulate me or just to like talk to him about stuff that makes me happy. And he just keeps encouraging me every single day. And I would say that he's a man of his word, so like he's not going back to what he used to do. And I know that for a fact. And he does have a supporting family. All of us here are like his biggest fan. And we will make sure he will never, I know he will for sure, but we will make sure he will never go back to that. And I just ask that you consider him, because he's ready. I know he's ready. We all know he's ready. We're ready for him to go home. And before I came up here, I actually went to go see my grandmother, his mom, and she's ready. And she's waiting. I know I mentioned last time she is getting very weak. But the very first thing she said when I walked in is, "Are you ready for your dad to come home?" Because she's ready. And so we just ask that you please consider him because I miss my dad and I know he's ready and I can't wait to just see him become something bigger than what he ever was.
Thank you for those remarks. Appreciate that. Next.
Thanks, Scott. But to go with my sister said, he keeps word, very supportive, very supportive. He continues to have all the time like bites and just motivating those two people every day, just like how he's doing every day. I do feel that my father, he will strive for great things. have the chance, and he got a big loving supportive family. His mom, which is my grandmother, she's great. She's great. And once again, I had a conversation with her, and we just couldn't stop talking about it. She's very excited to get to see her son. So yes, I really do feel that, you know, him having the chance, this can be a huge step. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Miss Lisa Scott.
My name is Lisa Scott. And I don't know if I can say anything behind these kids, but I just want to say that I am so very proud of him. He has worked so hard to be the man that he is today. I know that he's not the same person, and even in his wrong, he has always been a loving person, a man with a good heart. And I know that he's ready. He's been ready. I'm proud of him for doing the work. Thankful for what God has done in him and through, and the example that he is setting. He's just full of strength, full of resilience is one thing that comes to mind when I think about it. He loves his kids, he loves his family, and we're so ready for him. I think he deserves that chance, and I know that if y'all give him that chance, you won't regret it. And you'll see the man that we all know him to be. And thank you for considering.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Appreciate those words. This case has been, we take turns with the different cases as far as who conducts the interview. This interview is going to be by Ms. Cheryl Renatza to Millette.
Good morning, Mr. Scott. How are you?
Good.
Good. Well, I appreciate the remarks by Warden Thompson and Warden Simon and your lengthy statement.
Sorry.
I congratulate you for the work that you've done there and the contributions to your community. I want you to tell me a little bit though, as I review your record, tell me about the 90s in Alabama.
The 90s? Yes, ma'am. I believe we spoke of it once before, where it was while I was incarcerated. I was incarcerated behind, it was a first degree assault, which had a weapon, a gun, was brandished. I did 5 years and 2 months on it. Me and a friend, we was actually friends, well, we still are friends. We all have a dispute, and the dispute was over drugs. It was over drugs. And we both had weapons, and I pulled a weapon and I shot, which I struck him, you know. It didn't kill him. He recovered. You know, I did go to prison behind that because I drew weapons first. And me and him to this day, we're friends. We're friends to this day. He was one of the first ones when I came out from under my incarceration. He was the first one to visit me. One of the first one to visit me until we are friends to this day, you know.
Okay. And then there was another incident in 1995 that the grand jury no bill. What was that about?
Yes, ma'am. That rat ma'am, Miss Cheryl, to make something plain, I had to do what I did to save my own life. So I had to do what I did to take my own life. We both I was being attacked with a knife, and I got a knife, which I had in my boot, and I used it. You know, it hurt my heart to have to do what I did to take his life. But, you know, his family did come forward. His family came forward and spoke in my behalf. Where I wasn't the aggressor. But I did have to defend myself. In the state of the state of Alabama, I'm sorry, we don't have a self-defense law. So I had to be charged and for the grand jury to acquit me.
I understand. So you mentioned when we first got started about, you weren't raised this way to get involved in the activities that you were doing. Why did you?
It's Miss Cheryl, I couldn't even answer that because My family, me and my brother was raised by such strict parents. You know, the type of parents that 12 years of education, that's a no-brainer. You're going to give us that. There was no copy out on that. After that, you decided to go to college, it was on you. Well, myself, like, I don't know myself how I allow myself to get in those situations.
Were you a drug user?
No, ma'am, I wasn't a drug user.
So it had to do with the money?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll say this, that I just wanted to get all that on the record. I'm impressed with your prison record. You have no write-ups. As I said, you've done some really good community service. You've furthered your education. So it's looking pretty good for you today. I do have some concern though. You were interstate transport of cocaine in your rig, and that's what you want to go back to doing.
No,
Drive a
ma'am.
truck.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I would like, if I would love to stay. We had our own trucks, own trucks. I did love the business. We had a beautiful business. I tarnished that business, you know. We did have a beautiful business, but the transporting of drugs, that's I'm broken, Miss Cheryl. That's over.
All right, I don't have any other questions, Mr. Chairman.
Are you going back to Alabama?
Yes, sir.
Have y'all done the interstate compact yet?
Yes, sir. It went through. It was approved.
It was approved.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cheryl asked the other questions I was concerned about. Okay, thank you.
How much time have you served behind this cocaine charge?
Brad, 15 years.
So you've
Yes,
been in
sir.
a long time. How
Yes.
much money, I know you know the answer to this, how much money were you going to make had this been successful?
Mr. Steve, be honest with you. I mean, I know I want to say that the courts did say the street value would be. And I remember before answering that it depends on who you said it to. But I would say approximately 25,000 profit. It wouldn't be like because it was just
Right, that's,
bigger than the profit.
okay, that's your profit that you would have made. And I know that you feel like you owe your family for all these years you've been locked up. How can I be sure that you're not going to make that same decision? Just one run, 25,000, that'll put me ahead.
That's over with, Mr. Steve. Today, this could be one day that you could log this and say, this is over with. This is over. It wouldn't be no regret. You wouldn't have no regret. You would look back and say, well, that was a good decision that you made. That's over. I don't have any more in me.
All right, is the board ready to vote? All right, Ms. Renanza, would you start out the voting, please?
As I said, I'm really pleased and impressed with your prison record. My vote today is going to be to grant your parole to Alabama, based on the positive remarks by the wardens there and your record. I would add some special conditions of your release, though, after release, is that you do perform some community service work, speaking to at-risk youth on a quarterly basis. And the number of hours can be set by your parole officer. I'm not going to say how many, but I'd like you to do it at least every quarter.
Ma'am.
All right.
My vote is also to grant to the state of Alabama, and good luck to you. And I hope your roll tide just keep rolling on down the hill.
Thank you, sir.
All right, and finally, it takes 3 votes, and I concur with my fellow board members. We're gonna give you a shot, and so your parole has been granted.
Sir.